Hello and welcome to a brand new video of the Transfer Talk. I am Diyar and today I am joined by Harvey from the red and blue side to talk about the latest transfer rumours of the day. As always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. So let's get into it. So according to Equip, as a French newspaper, active negotiations are ongoing for Lyon to sign French central defender Sakho from Crystal Palace. So Harvey, from what I've seen on social media, it seems like the majority of the Palace fans won't be upset if it does go ahead. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I think that's understandable at this moment because of how well Gary Cahill's been since joining in the summer. We've got quite good depth in those areas. I think it's one of the only positions that we have right now where selection isn't really an issue at the moment. We have got good numbers at centre-back, and we've obviously got players like Kelly, Joel Ward even to an extent, who can slot in at centre-back. Kelly probably deemed more of a centre-back than a right-back nowadays. So I think that's the reason most fans are not too upset about the news. I think on his day, he's definitely our starting centre-back, in my opinion, and I am going to be a little upset if we see him go without seeing too many games with him alongside Gary Cahill, because I really did think that going into this season, seeing those two alongside each other could be quite good. Something special for a team like Palace to see those two on fire at centre back. That being said, Cahill's done brilliantly. He's been alongside, and unfortunately, the story of Sakho's career at Palace has been injuries, obviously since signing permanently, and he just hasn't had that consistent run in the starting 11, or not just the starting 11, not a consistent run in the team because of injuries. I think that's the main reason why I could see this deal happening, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think when you look at, you mentioned the injuries, when you look at this season, for example, he's only played 8 games this season, and his performances, I have no problem with. I mean, he makes the odd crazy passes, and it does sometimes put me into panic because of how he does it. But
Yeah,
majority of the time, it does go through. But then again, it only happens. For example, this time around, it only happened 8 times this season. And when you're looking at Sakho, one of the highest earners at the club, you have to take everything into consideration. No problem with
exactly.
his performances, but if you just play 8 games, that's just not good enough for me.
And you're right. I do think that he, as I said, when he's playing at his best, when he is fit, he is probably our best centre-back, I think, or challenging Cahill for that role as best centre-back in the side. Definitely the best ball-playing centre-back. I think the way, like you said, he can make us all sit on the edge of our seat and have our heart in our mouths at times with some of the balls he tries to play. But 9 times out of 10, they do come off those cutting balls straight through the lines of the midfield. Linking up the play brilliantly from defence to attack. I think he's crucial to us, getting some momentum building from the back. And we don't really have that sort of passing threat in the back four when he's not there. So that we are missing him in that sense when he's not playing. But as you mentioned, playing 8 games this season, injured a lot last season as well. Really, I think his best time at the club was his loan spell, that he had for us under Allardyce. That was probably the best period we had, stayed fit throughout. And since he has signed permanently, no fault of his own, just through injuries, he's just not had the same effect, unfortunately. But when he has played, he's shown his class.
I think one underrated negative out of this could be the team chemistry in terms of when we see lots of videos on socials at Palace's site, you see Mamadou Sakho with the guys. He's the lively one at the group, it seems like. And of course, losing a player of his caliber, it will be a downside in that aspect, which some people may not notice. But you did talk about us signing him permanently. We signed him for around 24 million at the time. There's different ongoing talks. Some people are saying 9 million. Some people are saying minimum 15 million. If we do sell him, how much do you think he's worth to Palace?
It's a tough one, mate, because he 30 years old now. He's just turned 30, so he's coming towards the twilight period of his career where this is probably the best time to sell him if we are going to sell him. So in that sense, I think the club are, if we're looking to get money for him, this is probably the best time to do it. But like you said, because of the injuries and his lack of playing time over the last year or so, it does bring the price down on him. I think at the time as well, when we did buy him from Liverpool, I think we did get him at quite a higher price than I think we were all expecting. Liverpool did, let that drag out till deadline day. I remember on deadline day, I was signing in for about 10 million more than I think our first bid was. And they tried to drag that out as long as possible. So I think we did get sucked into a bit of a bidding war on Sakho in that sense. I think around, if you get into double figures, around 10 million plus, maybe a bit more, 10 to 15 million. I think we've done very well there to get a portion of our money back. I think it's going to be very hard to get. I don't think we will get our money back in 20 plus million. I don't think he's going to go for that now because of his injuries. But I think the club are looking, obviously, to, unfortunately, offload him and try and hopefully bring in a replacement, maybe a younger replacement, because again, the aging squad is the main problem right now. So maybe they're looking to bring the average age down. And Sakho, with the amount of injuries he has, he's the first on the firing list.
How I stand on this, I think 15 million is a realistic price. I mean, yes, he has had injuries. He is 30 years old, but he's also, players he can play till probably another 5 to 6 years. So his wages are the downside, but I still feel like for a player of Sakho's caliber, the 9 million figure is just too low for me. It really is, especially what we bought him for. So if you're saying for 15 million, then it makes more sense to me. And in terms of replacement,
Sorry, mate. I'll say just on that point as well, especially when you look at Lyon are the front runners to get him. It's not like Lyon are short of any money. They're a European club. It's a good move for him as well. He'd probably fancy a move for European football. He may not have thought he had the chance to after leaving Liverpool to come to us. He may not have thought this moment would have come again. So, it's a good move for him and a good move for Lyon. It's not like Lyon can't afford that sort of money either. I think it'd be a good deal for all parties as well, around 15 million to Lyon.
Yeah, and he moves back home as well. He moves back to France, so it will be a positive move in that aspect, especially if that's what he wants. But overall, I wouldn't be too worried if we sold Sakho for the main reason that under Hodgson, we've seen that numerous defenders have come in and have performed because of the system. It helps out defenders a lot. So selling Sakho, let's say even for 9 million or 10 million, which I wouldn't want personally, it won't be the worst thing in the world. We'll get rid of the wages. We've still got Roy Hodgson at the club. The only downside will be is, when we do replace Roy Hodgson in a couple of years, maybe a player like Sakho would really benefit because he's still a very good footballer. I know we haven't seen much of it. He really is. But then again, it's the injuries. So there's too much uncertainty. But right now, if we're talking about this season and the upcoming season and planning ahead, I wouldn't mind selling Sakho. Good footballer, but he hasn't performed enough. But of course, let us know what you think. How much do you think Sakho is worth? And would you be upset if he leaves the club? And until next time, up the Palace.